All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Live from the Chair with Big Money Exchange. Our co-host, we need to congratulate, he is a new uncle, so congratulations, Big Money. We've got a substitute co-host for the time being, Mr. Mike Munger. Thank you for joining us. Now, on to our guest. He is a current CSW. He's a current CSW superstar, so much love for him. We love the promotion. However, this executive producer does have a little bit of a beef with him. So we're going to just get right into that in the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, we introduce to you Frenchy, who stole the thunder, who stole his one and only TikTok championship reign on my girl, Pandemonium's triumphant Red Rock Rumble win. So, without further ado, thank you for joining us, Frenchy. I hope you are forgiven. I know Panda won the women's championship, so in my book, no harm, no foul. But how dare you interrupt her match and win a TikTok title during her time? So please, why don't you tell us about yourself, and let's get this podcast started.
All right. Well, I'm Frenchy, as you know. I come from Colorado. I've been wrestling I've actually just reached my year mark. I've been training for a year, so my year mark was in May, and I've been performing, doing actual shows since November. I am a former TikTok champion. You're right. I did. I apologize for stealing the thunder from Miss Pandemonium, but I saw an opportunity and I took it. So that's how Frenchy operates. Very tactical.
All right. So Nathan, why don't you fire away with the first question? And it's okay, you can be rude to him because he did pick on Panda Bear.
Before I fire the first question, Frenchy, I got your back. Tony, you really need to get help for your panda addiction. It's okay, we can get you some help after the podcast.
I don't have to take any lip from you, mister, because I can just do this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my podcast. So I can ask the first question. So, sir, why don't you tell us who your wrestling heroes were growing up?
Who my wrestling heroes were? Okay, so it's kind of a little spotty. I watched wrestling back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then there was a bit of a gap in time in which I didn't watch wrestling. And that was probably about 15, 16 years. But if I back to when I first started watching it, I would have to say Lita. I really love the women. I love women's wrestling. I won't lie, a lot of the time I watched women's matches. So I'd have to say two of my biggest heroes were Lita and Trish Stratus. I was also a very big fan of Randy Orton because that was around the time that I had started watching wrestling was when he had debuted. But yeah, I was also the Lita, Trish Stratus, and then probably the Hardy Boys. I guess they can share a third spot.
Very good list. So your top 5 indie male wrestlers today.
Indie male wrestlers. Are you talking the whole Colorado independent scene or independent in general?
Independent in general.
Okay. Well, I try to expand and educate myself on indie wrestling, but there's so many of them that I can only keep track of a few at a time. So I would have to say one is probably the first one would probably be Caleb Crush. He's pretty. I know him actually very well personally, and he was kind of one of my windows into the independent wrestling scene before I started training. I'd say the second one would probably be Effie. I actually got to not work with him, but he was at a show that I worked on last month. It was a Pride show. He's a very, very, very nice human being. 3, 4, 5. I would say 3 would have to be Gypsy Mac I know that I believe she wrestles out of Nevada. And then after her would be Maserati was her name. She wrestled in one of the Primo shows a couple months back. Like I said, I love the female wrestlers. They're so cool. And then fifth one would probably be Red Viper.
Very nice.
Are you going to sit up and visit with us?
Okay, so now since you got a taste of that, let's do your top 5 let's do your top 5 favorite managers of all time.
Top 5 favorite managers of all time? Okay. That's gonna be an interesting one. Okay. Let me think. I have to think about that because I haven't really watched a lot of manager factions that have managers. So hold on just a second. I'd have to say the first one would probably be Paul Heyman. Just because everyone hates him, and I find him quite funny actually. Like I think he's a little hilarious with how some of the spots that they put him in or that they use him in. I think he's pretty funny. Top 5 managers. Second one would probably be I guess she counts as Paige when she was the SmackDown general manager. Paige is one of my favorite wrestlers. I love her. And then also after her would be AJ Lee when I think she was the Raw general manager for a little bit there.
Yeah.
Top 5. Okay. I'm just trying to think of who else would have been another. Damn. I think I'll have to think about it a little bit more, but as for now, I've got 3. So maybe ask me that question in a little bit so I can get my brain jogging a little bit better.
Sounds good. What's the worst injury you've had in your career?
Thankfully, I haven't really been injured. Knock on wood. But I haven't necessarily been injured. There have been some mishaps. I would have to say the worst one would probably be we were doing a training drill and I was still kind of green, so I was still learning, and I sold down when I was supposed to sell up. My body went down physically, and I accidentally got kicked in the mouth. And I have this thing about my teeth. I'm always so worried about something happening to them. And so when I got kicked in the mouth, I chipped one of my back molars. Really, not badly, but it was tender for a little bit there. So I'd say as far as injuries, that would probably count. I'll count that as one just because, again, I've been thankful enough that I haven't gotten hurt during a match or I haven't hurt anyone else. Everyone I've worked with has been safe, and I do my best to be safe also.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Tony, you're up.
So my next question is a 2-part question, and it is, what is your pre-match and post-match routine?
Pre-match and post-match routine. So I'm a very anxious and nervous. I'm a very anxious person. I have a lot of social anxiety. I really don't go out often, and honestly, that's what I love about wrestling is it's been bringing me out of my shell more and more. But so generally, my pre-match routine is me just kind of on the verge of a anxiety attack, just very nervous. I noticed I pace a lot, so I'll just kind of pace back and forth in the locker room. I try to run through my match as many times as I can in my head before I go out there, and then a lot of it is just kind of like breathing to like calm myself down. So being a nervous wreck before my match is generally a routine without meaning for it to be. That's what it is. And then post match, I depending on how the match went, sometimes it all kind of just hits me at one time, and I just need like a quiet moment to just step aside and run through it and make sure that just kind of again breathing, because I just went out in front of a bunch of people and hope that I hope that I did good and that they are still Frenchy fans. And so again, it's a lot of nerves, dealing with the nerves and then like kind of coping with it afterwards.
Right.
That's good. Okay. Well, I'm still on the fence about being a Frenchy fan. That Red Rock Rumble thing really kind of upset me tremendously. And Nathan, before you say another word, I will mute you ass faster than you can say crap. So remember, I am in control. This is Executive Producers Podcast. So why don't we do our stand-in co-host? Why don't you ask a question, Mikey?
Thanks, Con. What's your top 5 tag teams?
Top 5 tag teams. Well, alrighty. They're all going to be mostly women, just so you know. So the first one would definitely be the Bella Twins. I am a huge Nikki Bella fan. Second one would be the Riot Squad, but the Riot Squad when it was Ruby Riot and Liv Morgan. I love Sarah Logan too, but I think that Ruby and Liv, they flowed together better in the ring. Third one, the name was just on the top of my head and I totally forgot it.
I hate when that happens.
I do too. Third one would be Trish Stratus and Lita. I know that they were a tag team when women's tag teams weren't really taken too seriously. But I still consider them, like, honestly, they should have come back with like a title reign for them now. Fourth would be the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. They're both retired now. I think they're hilarious. Like, just their segments and their promos that they do, they're funny. But then like it's cool because you see them joking around, but then when they get in the ring, they're so serious and they're both so athletic. It's another example of how they flow together very well. And then who would my fifth one be? Fifth one. Fifth one would probably be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Just because I love how they were constantly have like they've always kind of remained friends. They're not like a lot of the other tag teams where like one turns on the other. They generally wait. I'm pretty sure one did turn on the other one at some point, but like with them, it's believable when they get back together. It's like, oh, okay, they're doing the tag team thing again. Cool. As opposed to some other teams where you're like, he's gonna turn on you. Like you're stupid.
Yeah. Kind of like I keep waiting for Randy Orton and Riddle when Randy Orton was there for Orton to turn on Riddle just because that's what Orton does.
Yeah, and they would probably be on that list also. If I had to like say a sixth one, it would be Randy Orton and Riddle, just because they're funny too. Like I love it that they're good at wrestling and then they're hilarious also because it's like they're versatile in that way.
Yeah.
It sounds like the co-host is at Dollar Store, so we're going to call you Dollar Store Mikey from now on.
Well, that works. All right, Tony, you're up.
Okay, so let's do. You know what? There's some really good people up there in Colorado, so we're going to go ahead and do top 5 luchadors.
Top 5 luchadors?
Yes.
I'm not sure how that
Uh,
fits into Colorado, but that's a good question.
we have a lot of luchadors here. We have a lot of luchadors here. Which is like I need to. I try to follow the luchadors as best as possible, but there's some of them I either can't watch. I can't see their matches, like I can't find them, or like I don't like. There's a lot, so I would have to say, first one would probably be Red Viper. He's a really cool dude. Very chill, very easy to talk to. He's when I'm freaking out backstage, he's like in the locker room. He's generally one of the guys that's like, "Hey, calm down. You know, you've got this. Like, you're gonna go out there and do fine. Just remember to be safe and protect each other and all that." Second one would be Anubis because Anubis, he's actually a really cool guy. He's really nice. Like, I really like him. He was my first win at Primo's, but he also has taught me a lot of the moves that I do. Like, I mean, my coaches have taught me some of the lucha moves, but Anubis has like shown me other lucha moves that like I didn't like think that I could do that are actually pretty fun to do. So there's two. Anubis. Who would be the third one?
In that receipt today?
No.
I would have to say Diago. He's also a very nice guy. I've gotten to train with him a few times. All the luchadors are they're very nice. They always give very good, like, solid advice, like when like it comes to training and matches and stuff like that. So yeah, I would have to say. Unfortunately, I really only have three because those are the main three that I know.
That's perfect.
So
Yeah, so I try to, like I said.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, like I said, the indie scene, there's a lot going on. Like, there's more in the independent scene than there is on like the AEW or on WWE, and so like trying to keep tabs on everyone is kind of hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Mikey, go ahead and ask one last question. I know your phone's about to die, so go ahead and ask another question real quick, and then you can go ahead and go if you want.
What's your favorite snack? Food or snack?
Snack. So does like candy count as a snack?
Yep.
Okay, so I would have to say probably Reese's peanut butter cups, but like the big
Good.
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite. I keep a supply of those on hand.
I'm happy to call you friend for life.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with those.
Nope.
No, unfortunately, I can't even.
No, you
fault
can't.
for that. So, all right,
So
Mikey.
I have a question about
No, you
Primos,
can't, Tony.
and I asked this the last time too. When you're training with I Am the Provider, is it hard to focus on the move, especially if he's wearing that thong that he showed at Headlocks for Hospice?
So, I am the provider. I love him. I love him very dearly. I would not be where I am today, and I would not be Frenchy. Frenchy wouldn't exist if it wasn't for him. So when we train together, you know, full on disclosure, he doesn't wear the thong. But he's a very, very good trainer. Like he breaks down wrestling to like the smallest aspects to where like it's easy to understand the move. Like, it's easier to do the move once you understand the motions of the move. And so, I know that he's not a luchador, but he has trained extensively with the luchadors. I know he's trained down in Mexico. So again, a lot of the lucha moves I know he's taught me. He actually showed me the lucha moves before Anubis did. They both showed me two different sets. So yeah, training with him, it's sometimes it's hard to take him seriously with his jokes, but I think if he had the thong on, that would probably make it a little bit harder.
Yeah, I'm a jokester too, so I get that.
Yeah, sometimes he got like those quick
All right,
ones too.
guys.
Like, he just comes with it.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey, if you got to go, buddy. Thank you for joining us.
Like, I have a joke right now. Well,
No
Tony
problem.
and Mikey
I'll
are
see you
doing
guys
their
next
thing.
week.
So you think if I am the provider doesn't wear the thong, he's trying out for the new version of Suburban Commando?
Oh my
Uh,
God, Nathan.
I'm
I
sorry, I
mean,
couldn't help it.
he probably should. We should run that by him, see how he feels
Yeah,
about it.
I was gonna say this could be a new career path. It could work.
I mean, we don't. The legend has it that I am the provider strips in his free time, but I cannot confirm nor deny that.
That's gonna be a bad mental picture later. Um,
Okay, go ahead and I'll
So-
be right back, Nate.
all right, top 5 female wrestlers of all time.
Oh, okay. All right. This one I've got.
I was gonna say, I think this one's in your wheelhouse.
All right. So first would actually be Paige / Soraya. She's Soraya now. She was Paige in WWE. She is probably my favorite. It's hard to say too though because it's a big tie between her and Nikki Bella. So Nikki Bella would be second, but Paige would be first. Then Nikki Bella. After Nikki Bella would be Trish Stratus. She was what I grew up on. Like she was like my WWE. Like that was who I watched when I was younger, and I looked up to her. So we got Paige, Nikki Bella, Trish Stratus. Obviously Lita. Also, I always loved Lita's style. I thought the way she dressed was just so cool to me. Like and like her moves were just. It's where I got a lot of inspiration from was her. And then the fifth one would be Liv Morgan.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a huge fan of Liv Morgan.
So am I, and that's also another inspiration for my movesets. She can jump really high, and so can I. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna do that.
Speaking of your movesets, how did your finisher come to be?
My finisher. Which finisher are we talking about? I have two. I have the code red, and then I have the submission hold. It's the head scissors leg sweep octopus hold, and actually, yeah, we'll go with that one as the finisher because the code red.
Let's go with the submission. That sounds pretty interesting.
So I actually got that from AJ Lee. When I first started rewatching wrestling again, I always just thought that her Black Widow was so cool, like the way that she did it. And she's little. I'm a little guy, so like I watch a lot of the smaller, shorter wrestlers. Like I can do that because I'm probably about the same height as them. So I just thought it was really cool and how devastating it was, like how she could hit that on anybody and they would tap out to it. And so I wanted to do a variation of that, but for one, there's a lot of things I need to work on before I can do it in a standing position. So the way that I learned to do it was, I saw Cora Jade do it one time. It was a head scissors into a Russian leg sweep into an octopus hold. And so I just thought that combo was cool. Like you essentially kind of disorient them with the tilt-a-whirl head scissors, and then you take them down with the leg sweep. And then once you got them down, you get them in the octopus hold. So it doesn't look the same as AJ Lee's because it's from like a seated position.
Right.
Yeah, but I like it. I like making them tap.
And it's a great way to do that too, because if you do it quick enough, which I'm sure you do, there's no way they would know it's coming.
Yeah,
right?
It catches them off guard.
They're guarding for the head scissors, and they guard for the red leg sweep, and then before they know it, they're in the octopus hold. So
yeah, it's exactly how that is. And like part of the reason I don't do it from a standing position is, like I said, I'm a little guy. I got short legs, so a lot of times I can't lock it in from a standing position. Like it was actually funny. Me and Panda were talking about this the other day because Panda, she does an octopus hold, but she does it from a standing position. And I was telling her like, oh, I can't. I'm too short, so something won't lock in, and they'll be able to get out.
Or you have to jump up on their back, and that just sets you up for like a counter move for like a Samoan drop or.
Yeah, and again, I'm a little dude. So if it's like if I'm up against a big guy and I mess that up, they can throw me like 8 different ways.
Yeah, I got you. So, all right, Tony. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
All right, this one should be pretty easy for you. So I'm going to set this up for you very nicely. And I expect to hear one person in this answer that you're about to give. I want to know your top 5 Colorado independent female wrestlers.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. Top 5 independent female wrestlers. So the first one, obviously, it's Nikki Chase, my fellow Click member.
Got you.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I've gotten to train with her a lot, and so we're very good friends. So Nikki Chase would be the first one. Tyra Rusame would be the second one, just because she's a very, very skilled tactical wrestler. Like she is a very, very good teacher, and she knows a lot of things. Like she's been a lot of places. She's seen a lot of things. So I love her. She's also, I mean, she was the CSW women's champion for about a year and a like a month, I believe. Yeah, it was a year. Yeah. And she is the current Primo's women's champion. Which she's also held for about a year. It'll be a year next month, I believe. So Nikki Chase, Tyra Rusame, and then third one would be Urza Menagerie Tinker, the almighty EMT. She is also a member of the Clique. She's a newer member of the Clique.
Yep,
So
I knew that one.
Yeah. So she's those are the top 3. And then my next 2, 4 would be Panda. She works very, very hard, and so she deserves the CSW Women's Championship. And I actually have gotten to train with her a few times. She's a very sweet person in general. I rate a lot of how I feel about these wrestlers on how nice they are to me in the locker room too. So like, if they're not very nice to me, sometimes I'm like, eh. And then who would be the 5th? The fifth one. Give me just a second on this one. I feel like I'm gonna say the wrong answer, but like not.
No, you got his right answer, so, and I didn't have one, so you're in the good.
So those would be the 4. 5th one. Man, we really don't have a lot of female wrestlers in Colorado now that I think about it.
I know one that you should be scared of if you don't put her on this list, but I can tell you that one afterwards.
Okay. You see, okay, I wanted to say Kay, but you said female wrestlers, and Kay does not identify as female. They are. There I go. They are non-binary. So I guess technically, being non-binary, they can compete in both women's and men's competition. So yes, Kay would be my number 5. They are just an absolutely splendid human being to be around, and oh my god, they are a powerhouse. They are a force to be reckoned with. They were in the Disrespectful Young Boys Cup with me, and that there was just a moment where it was just me and Kay in the ring, and Kay had her way with Frenchy.
Did she do her customary scream?
Yeah, you haven't seen the photos? Okay.
Actually, I have.
There was a moment in which Kay screamed in my face, and I responded back with a very frightened, girly scream because I was terrified.
Yep.
I heard she has that affecting a lot of people.
You ever seen the commercials where the guy gets scared? You know, the security commercials where the guy gets scared and kind of runs away?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, kind of the same face.
Gotcha.
In all due respect.
Yeah. And that, I did try to run away when they screamed in my face, and it just ended up, next thing I know, I'm getting thrown around the ring.
Well, they can do that.
Yeah. Yes, they can. Actually, it is funny that you say that. The next CSW show on July 29th, it will be Frenchy versus Cadaver.
Whew.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a foreshadowing.
Interesting.
Now, is that to get revenge for your your newest click member, Ezra, after Kay took, or after they took her title?
I mean, Urza is a big girl, and she can fight her own battles. I know for a fact she can fight her own battles, so I'm sure she'll get her one up on Kay at some point. Mine is more or less, it's not really revenge. It's just to prove a point, I guess. That I have there's a photo that circulated for a little bit of me and Kay from the Disrespectful Young Boys Cup that they're never letting me live it down. So I feel like I have my own motivation behind this match going into it.
Got it.
But to be honest, Nathan, Urza was just really standing around doing nothing, and Kay just came up and gave her a love tap, and Urza happened to drop the title, and Kay walked off with it.
Since when in what world is a headbutt a love tap?
Yeah, you ever been headbutted by Cadaver? It's not a. There's not as much love in it as you think.
I just call it as I see it, I mean.
But even watching the video, you can tell that wasn't a love tap.
Tomato, tomato,
All right, you're up.
All right, so I guess I'll ask him this. Are you ready? Here we go. 6-match WrestleMania card from any generation, any promotion, and you can even use the indies. Go.
Okay. Number one would be we'll do a throwback to the classic. So number one would be Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon.
Nice.
Number two would be Nikki Bella versus Paige.
Nice.
Number three would be Trish Stratus versus Lita.
Ooh.
You said 5 or 6?
Six.
6. Okay, so we're 3 in. Okay, so 6. So 4 would be The Miz versus Daniel Bryan.
Yes, thank you for that one.
Yeah. 5 would be Brie Bella versus Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
And then 6 would be Sasha Banks versus Bayley. But like new Bayley, like heel Bayley, like the one that we've been seeing on TV the last couple of months.
Yeah, like the ding dong ditch, like
Bayley. Yeah, that Bayley,
yeah.
The one who's only in business for herself.
Yep. I like that card. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, good card.
Sorry, he's distracted by pandas.
No, I mean, it was actually a good card. Really, seriously.
And I'm gonna add a little bit to that Sasha Bayley match. I would put that as a 60-minute Iron Woman match.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like I would either like an Iron Woman match or like a cage match, something in which they both have to get brutal, because I know that Sasha Banks does not hold back.
No, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
If you did the Iron Woman match, you could just there's a built-in story, because you could be like, well, we already had the 30-minute one in NXT.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you add on to it.
Up at 30 minutes on the main roster.
Yeah, see, you have better vision than I do. Better ideas.
So what if you had your choice of a dream opponent from any generation? Who would it be and why? No questions asked.
Probably the Miz.
I could see that.
Yeah, like I would like to get beat up by the Miz at some point. That would be cool.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a little extra in and this is a new one, Tony. So if you took on the Miz, you know he's gonna have Maurice with him, right?
Hmm.
So what Colorado female or they would you have in your corner? I don't want Kay to come after me. And would you have in your corner to combat Maurice?
But you just assume he's going to say Kay when he's actually going to say the logical choice and say Nikki.
Hey,
It would
I'm
be
covering all my bases.
it would be a tie between Nikki Chase or probably Nikki Chase actually. I mean, Frenchy doesn't like believe in cheating. He tries to fight fair in his matches, and I mean, Nikki gets results sometimes. So if my back is turned and Nikki's doing something that I don't, if this goes for the whole clique, if Frenchy's back is turned, whatever the clique is doing behind me is none of my business. All right, I didn't see it.
If I don't see it, it didn't happen.
Exactly.
I kind of like that logic. I live by that logic sometimes.
Yeah, got to keep that baby face heat on me. Can't.
Yeah. But we have to admit, Nathan, this is the second interview with the members of the clique. Well, third if you include Ezra, but we didn't know she was a member of the clique until.
Well,
I
she
didn't know.
wasn't at the time.
Yeah, but we interviewed her before she became a member. But anyways, and you get Nikki and Chase here next month, so you're gonna have all four members of the clique.
Oh yeah, because you've already interviewed a Major too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard I better be on my toes with Nikki, so I'm ready for that one.
Nikki, again, she's a very, very smart tactical wrestler. She sees opportunities and she takes them.
And I might leave you hanging out to dry
challenge.
I might leave you hanging out to dry on that one there, Mr. Host, because I'll probably have to work and.
Well,
So
yeah, that's at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so you'll have to deal with her on your own. And I wish you the best of luck, my friend.
Well, from what I've heard, I hope she has coffee because I don't want a cranky Nikki.
I hope she doesn't eat you alive too badly. So,
all right,
my next question is, what are your hobbies that you enjoy doing?
Does wrestling count as a hobby? I mean, I know it's kind of a lifestyle for me at this point, but I see it as like an outlet sometimes.
If wrestling's a hobby to you, then wrestling's a hobby to you. I mean, it's
wrestling's my hobby, so if it's not good enough for you, then I might as well find something else. Because
yeah, I'd have to say wrestling is one of my hobbies. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to really like writing. Like I would write like my own like fan fiction or just stories in my head or just anything like that. The issue is I write a lot up here, but I don't write a lot down, unfortunately. And that's because I'm kind of weird about it. Like I don't like to make it like I feel like once it's written, it should be kept that way. I don't like going back through and like changing things. So I guess we'll say journaling. I like journaling. I haven't really gotten too much of it done in a while, but I do like journaling. It's a good way to clear my head. Reading also. I love reading. I have been very bad about picking up a book though lately. Like I've just been sometimes my mind is like too active and bouncing off the walls, and so trying to read a book, I can't focus. Like I think I own AJ Lee's autobiography, and then I own Nikki and Brie Bella's autobiography, and I think I started both of those books, but I haven't gotten past like the first 2 chapters because I can't focus on it that well.
Wow. I thought I was the only one that happened to on both the writing and the reading. Because seriously, like I have a bunch of ideas in my head, but if I go to write them down or type them out, something gets lost in between like my head and what I'm trying to write.
Exactly. And then you're like, huh, this doesn't make sense. I guess I better restart the story.
Yep.
Or one of the things is I'll write it down and then later on down the road I'm like, oh, I should have added that part.
Yep. I do that all the time.
Yeah, like I have an unhealthy amount of like spiral notebooks that either are full of like journaling or like I just haven't touched.
Let's be honest though, Nathan. Is it really ideas in your head or is it the voices in your head?
I'm not Randy Orton, but you could be a little bit right.
You don't have
Hey,
to be, you don't have to be Randy Orton to hear voices, dude.
What?
Who said that?
Well, yeah, exactly. So what's the craziest match you've ever had?
The craziest match I've ever had. I would have to say it is a tie between. I had a match with Anubis back in January, and that was I did a lot more high flying than I thought I was going to do. So I think that would probably be the craziest one. But then I also had a match with Killian Crow. I don't know. It was Killian. Yeah, it was a fatal 4-way. So it was Killian Crow, Ham, and Savage Saint. And so that was also a pretty crazy match. I retained the chopping block title in that match, and so there was a lot going on, and I was in the ring with some bigger guys, so of course they're gonna throw me around. But Anubis would probably be the one that takes the cake because that was again I didn't expect to be flying as much as I did in that match.
Oh, funny he mentions Killian Crow.
Oh,
He's the other man that I'm really upset about with that Pandemonium Red Rock Rumble. You know, he cried that he actually won the Rumble. He was on 2 days after Panda won the Rumble, and he was still crying about it 2 days later.
Yeah, he's a bit of a crybaby. He needs to like get over it.
I don't know how you could win the Red Rock Rumble when your whole body hit the floor.
I mean, to be fair, I've only gotten like 2 wins, not necessarily over him, but in the matches he was in with me, and he doesn't count those as wins against him. He's like, "You've never actually beat me," and I'm like, "Okay, well then I guess I'll have to beat you for real."
All right, Tony, you have a question?
Okay, so have you ever wrestled outside of Colorado yet?
Not yet. No, that is on my bucket list for this year is to wrestle for an out of state promotion.
Well, we have some connections in California and in Washington, so we can and in Montana now, so we can definitely send your name out there to see if we can get you on some other.
I mean, yeah, I would be grateful for it if you did. Like I said, it's wrestling's bringing me more and more out of my shell, and so I feel like one of the next steps is going to another state and wrestling. You know, not around like everyone that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of more of that getting outside of your comfort zone thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, this promotion in Montana is actually having some of your fellow Coloradians coming up in August. And that's Cadaver and Killian are going to Flashback Pro Wrestling in Montana in August, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we also gave them Pandemonium's information, and Nathan I can send him your information for upcoming shows.
I would be very grateful if you did.
We can do that.
And Tony hates it when I do this, but it's what I do. So I like to compare people on this podcast to like.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Hey, if he can put up with your panda loving for the rest of the podcast, he can handle this. So I like to compare people to like people that I've watched.
I know
interview.
nothing about this. I promise you. I'm sorry.
And I compared you to, with all the respect, to like Spike Dudley.
Okay.
Like you guys have the same kind of like body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the slender body, but you guys can both fly when you want to. But you have that kind of like sneaky submission stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a compliment. I liked Spike Dudley growing up.
Well, for once, I think you got it right there, Nathan.
Well, because a lot of people don't know, Spike Dudley did have a slight like submission game. You know what I mean? He didn't use it very much, but it was there.
Yeah, I need to work on my submission game a little bit better. But yeah, I take that as a compliment because it's actually funny. I was just watching an old Dudley Boys match not like a week ago, so it's funny you say that.
Well, and the fact that you have the octopus hold, right, is
Yeah.
a pretty good start on your submission skills.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, go ahead.
So your comparison's your question, really? You're not going to ask a question?
Well, I could. So, what's the craziest crowd you've ever been in front of?
Craziest crowd I've ever been in front of. Quite honestly, I would have to say it's a tie because some primo shows those crowds can be like jam packed. Like I know that my debut at Emergence last year, it was the Roxy. It was just full of people. There was just so many people there, and it's a smaller space, so like they're all there looking at you. But I think that probably the CSW crowd during the Red Rock Rumble was pretty crazy, just because I had to come through the crowd to get into the ring to pin Mop Boy, and it was hard getting like pushing past people, and then Mop Boy chased me out of the ring afterwards, so I had to run back through the crowd, and like, it was intense.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of stories because I've been involved in wrestling, not at the level that you have, but on the
Oh,
independent
God. Time to go to sleep.
down here. I'd let you talk about Panda. Give me like.
I know, but your stories are like listening to paint dry. So forgive
Well,
me if
one
I
of them
fall
had the
asleep.
cookie sheet, so that's it. That fits. So there were 2 times that I thought I was gonna get killed by a crowd. One was up at Hillsboro, up at a flea market. And I was sitting with a cookie sheet behind my back for 3 hours because my friends were wrestling and they wanted me to hold the cookie sheet in my wheelchair behind my back. Well, they didn't tell me I was in the main event, or they were in the main event. So I'm sitting there from the beginning all the way to the main event going, anytime now, guys, you can hurt, you can. And then my friend comes out and grabs the bottle of water, and where the flea market was, it was mainly Hispanic, people, right? That were watching the show. And so he grabs the water and pours it down his back, like over his head, down his back, and he goes, there, I'm a bunch of wetbacks just like you. And he pointed at me after he said it. So they made the connection that like I was involved with, what he just said.
Oh, Jesus.
It was like the pod people. They all turned and looked at me at the same time. And I was like, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die.
There was no way I'd get out of there. And then I was in Kelso, and I was at an airport, and the ring was here, I was here, and the fans were like on my right hand side. And it was almost the same thing. One of the guys in the ring said, oh, you guys are trailer park trash, just like, the trailers you live in down the street. I quickly realized that they would have to go through me to get to him.
Okay, so you're like in the way. Okay, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Okay, now that you're out of your coma, Tony, as you said I would put you in, continue.
Oh, are you done finally? Okay. So
I'm
what was
sorry,
the-
I don't fantasize over pandas.
No, but you tell the lamest stories that I've heard like thousands of times, so it's a little sleep fest. Anyways, what's the best advice your trainers have given to you, and do you still live by that advice today?
One of the best things I've heard is that, like everything is a learning experience. If you do something wrong or not right, you learn one time not to do that ever again. So like I was telling you the story of how I got kicked in the mouth because it's happened twice. So after the second time, I learned to just protect my face. Yeah, essentially, like everything is a learning experience, and that's how I take wrestling. Is every match I go into, like I'm gonna put on the best show I can, and then afterwards, like the feedback I get, I take it in and I write it down, so I know like, oh, okay, do this next time, or don't do this next time, or don't spend so much time on this, or spend more time on this. So I'd have to say, yeah, like they say, everything is a learning experience, and there's a quote that they all say, and it's escaping my mind right now, and I don't want to misquote them. So essentially, yeah, everything is a learning experience.
Sounds good. So, when did you feel like what match did you feel like you like arrived in wrestling, right? Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like where the beginning nerves kind of faded away and that kind of stuff.
So the nerves are still kind of there. They're always there. They never go away. And honestly, they tell you too. That's another thing that they say is if you're not nervous, it's a good thing if you're nervous, because when you're not nervous, that's how accidents happen. And
Right.
so I would have to say, no matter what, I'm always nervous going out there. But I think that I've gotten a little bit more confident sometimes when I go out. It depends. It depends really on like the ring, the crowd, and like the match. I would say that I had a match with Anubis back in March, and it was at Front Range Community College. We were just putting on a show for the students, and it was kind of like the first time that like it was a very small crowd, first of all, but it was like the first time that I was really actually kind of like alone. Like I didn't have the clique with me. It was just me going out there, and so I'd say that was probably after that match I like realized, like I want to do this. Like I was, it's not like I've ever been doubtful of it. Well, sometimes there have been a couple matches afterwards where I'm like, man, am I doing this the right way, or am I doing this right? But I would say that match with the News made me a little bit more confident, because it got to a point where we were just kind of flowing so well together. Like me and him work really well together, and sometimes I get a little anxious or confused in the ring, and the person I'm with, they'll hit me with something, and then it kind of wakes me back up, or I lose my train of thought. But that match kind of was like, okay, I didn't panic, and I held my cool, and I even tried some new things. So I think that I think that I can fine tune this art and make it better.
Very nice.
Okay, well, so we already know your next match. So where can we find you on social media?
On social media, okay. So on social media, I have a Facebook page. It's Frenchy, the Mile High Misfit. When you pull it up, you'll be able to tell it's me, because it'll have a picture of me. My Instagram is Mr_Frenchy. Okay. It is MISTER _ and then FRENCHY. A lot of people spell it CHIE. It's CHY. And then TikTok would be the same thing, Mr. Frenchy, MISTER Frenchy.
More talk about that stolen TikTok title, the Red Rock Rumble. I see how that is. I like that pun.
Boy, it's like a dog with a bone.
Are you telling me right now that you're more of a Mop Boy fan than you are of Frenchy? Is that what you're saying?
I'm more of a Pandemonium fan over anybody else in CSW, and I think that was her Rumble to win, and anybody else that did some shenanigans in that match.
To be fair, I could have won the Rumble if I wanted to.
Oh,
Yeah, so could Killian, but he's a 2-time loser in the Red Rock Rumble.
so but let me ask you this: did Frenchy winning the TikTok title prevent Panda from winning the Red Rock Rumble?
Obviously not.
Then he did nothing to hinder Panda. So
Actually,
therefore they're separate.
and if it makes you feel any better, most of those wrestlers were shocked that I got into the ring, and Panda actually kicked me in the back because because I had gone to pin Mop Boy, and then I feel something kick me in the back of the head, and I'm like, what the hell was that? And then I turn around and it's Panda, and I'm like, okay, so she got her shot in. All right, it did not go unannounced, me in there with her.
I know, I seen the match, I watched it.
Well, it's like I said at the beginning, I got your back. So
all right, go Nate.
So just out of curiosity, how did you get the name Frenchy? I always find it interesting when people just like talk about how their characters came to be.
So, Frenchy is actually a nickname that I've had since I was 13 years old. Have you ever seen the movie Grease?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so Frenchy and the Pink Ladies, she was the one with the pink hair, the beauty school dropout. Yeah, so it was actually funny. When I was younger, I went to a live showing of Grease, like Grease Live, it was like a play. And I got to meet the dude that sings that song, Beauty School Dropout, on accident. Like we ran into him. We were leaving the performing center downtown, and we took a back road. And I was like 6 years old at the time, 6 or 7. And he had been walking down the back road so he could avoid the crowds. And my aunt pulls over and she's like, oh my God, that's him. And so I always just thought it was crazy, like, oh, I met that guy. And so I'd always tell people that. And then, so when I was in 7th grade, I had this friend, and I used to carry this French book. I took French from like 7th grade to like 12th grade. I don't know how to speak it, but I took it. And so I took French for a while, but I had a nickname in 6th grade that I didn't like it, and it was kind of like a mean nickname. So when I met this girl who had never met me before, I didn't want to tell her my name because I didn't want her to start calling me that. And so she's like, okay, well, if you're not going to tell me what your name is, I'm just going to start calling you Frenchy. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because you carry that big French book around. Like, that's what I'm going to call you. You won't tell me your name, so I'm going to call you that. And it was actually funny because Frenchy took place of the other nickname that I had. So from 7th grade on, there are some people who didn't know what my real name was for years. They thought my name was actually like Frenchy or something. And so yeah, it's a nickname that I've had for a long time. And when it came time to join wrestling, or when it came time for wrestling, and they're like, hey, what's your character going to be? I was having a bit of a struggle because I'm like, well, I tell them I want to use the name Frenchy, but then they're like, oh, you're not French. And I'm like, yeah, I get that part, but like, it's wrestling. And then, I don't know, Frenchy, he was a part of my personality before, because I was an alcoholic for 10 years. So he was a big part of my personality for a while. And then I was drunk all the time, and he kind of went away. And so around this time last year, I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be when it came to wrestling. And Frenchy just kind of slowly started to wake back up. And that's who you get before you today.
All right. Well, Nathan, go ahead and ask final questions, final thoughts, and then we'll go into closing.
I just want to. Well, actually, I'm just gonna say thank you for being on, and good luck on everything that you're gonna do. And
thank you very much. Awesome. Well, I'd love to come back. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. And yes, I will. I'll come out and admit it. Yes, you won me over, Frenchy. So we'll be watching
Well,
more of you.
that's good. So yeah, so check me out at CSW on July 29th. It'll be Frenchy versus Cadaver.
Yeah, we'll be rooting for you on that one. My only question is, do you have your life insurance policy paid up?
I think I still have a few more payments, and then it goes into. So I'll be as careful as I'll beg Kay to go gentle on me. They probably won't, but
I was gonna say that might be a little bit of a hard thing to convince them to do. So
yeah, and also on that card is Pandemonium's first title defense, and Carney's first title defense, and also Jack's first title defense. And the only other match that I know that has been announced is Team Blood Sugar going against each other for the CSW Championship, which is kind of really odd. You know, they're pairing
brilliant at the same time.
Well, and it's kind of brilliant at the same time too, pairing tag team partners together to fight for a singles title. Brilliant, bravo, Randy.
I see what you did there.
Hey, got to give Randy love whenever we can. You know, if it wasn't, we wouldn't have the Colorado connection if it wasn't for Mr. Rude.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to announce and kind of still in shock to announce that Big Money Compound and everything is going to be happening. You can see his online classes soon, $25 a session, $150 a month. And Nathan and I are going through a rebranding of sorts, more to come in later podcasts. Everything's okay. It's just as we go on, you know, over 100 shows, things change, branding changes, but we're still the same great podcast, same great people, same great cast, just a different name coming soon. We will still have co-hosts on, sometimes multiple co-hosts, but as you know, like I said, don't want to divulge all the information yet. So we're going to just end it with that. Nathan, you want to do the other two sponsors?
Yep. It's the CARE program, which stands for Community Action Reaching Everybody. And to get a hold of the person that's in charge of that is Becky Bernhardt. And Bruce Nichols Painting for all your painting, pressure washing, and lead removal needs, and you can find them on Andy. And also, I want to say that Tony and I are going to be starting in the future our own promotion called Inclusion Pro Wrestling. And I would love to, when that starts, have you come down to Washington and wrestle for us.
I would love to.
Our first show will be a benefit for the Special Olympics.
Okay.
And one more quick jab, if you're nice enough, maybe you can ride with Kay and Panda to the event.
Maybe we'll see. I wonder. I don't think there's any animosity between me and Panda anymore, but I could definitely see a feud starting up.
All right. So again, we want to thank you. So until next time, everybody take care of yourself. Nathan, dude, like T-Rex said yesterday, you missed your appointment. So I got to remind you again, please help control the host population. Have your host spaded or neutered. Good night.
Good night.